At number 2, I have Cities. Now this is a family-friendly weight game about trying to build cities, of course. This is designed by Steve Finn and Phil Walker-Harding, so 2 designers of great pedigree there. And it's a very simple game mechanically, as you are trying to build this 3x3 grid, populating it with these kind of features that will go in the parks, features that will go in the water, as well as building buildings by stacking these plastic blocks on top of each other. Now, the gameplay is super simple and it works a little bit like a worker placement game, but more of a drafting variant of that, as you have 4 rows on the board with 4 different kind of components that will be added to your city. So the first row is going to be a scoring card, which will score you points based on different factors. Things like score 1 point for every green building at least 1 high, or score 1 point for every 2 spaces in your biggest field. These things we've seen before. So that's the first segment. The second segment is going to be the actual tiles or the foundation in which you can build the things on. These might determine other objectives that you are trying to reach towards. The third row is going to be these features that you're going to be filling up with your parks with benches and fountains and things. The more different features you have in your parks, the more points you'll get, so simple set collection. And the final row is going to be these plastic buildings where you can stack them on the matching coloured spots within your city. So not only are you trying to build the city to, of course, tailor them to be to contribute towards those scoring cards that you've drafted, but there are also public objectives that you are racing to achieve. And these public objectives are variable, and there are quite a few of them in the game, and they all are kind of assigned to a different famous city in the world. So, for example, the New York one will score you points based on your biggest park, or trying to get to a certain amount of park as quickly as possible, to kind of represent Central Park. You'll also score points based on skyscrapers, so you want tall buildings, and also having like avenues of the same buildings, or having whole rows completed of buildings, which is not an easy thing to achieve. So again, you're racing to get these objectives. You might get some second place points or third place points if you are a little bit behind the other players, but of course the points will be distributed accordingly. So very simple stuff. It only takes about half an hour to play, and maybe even quicker than that at 2 players, because with the 2-player variant you are playing 4 rounds instead of 8, and you're placing double the amount of workers on the board each round. Now, I like the idea of this one. I like, again, how simple it is, and that you are, again, tailoring your strategy as you go. And I do like, I suppose, the main feature of the game, or the main kind of feeling of the game, was supposed to be that turn angst. What do you go for first? Because if you go for the scoring objective first, then you're probably giving up priority in taking one of the other ones. Because there's this real scarcity of what you want. That turn angst really does shine through. So you do need to factor in, what do I need right now? What can I maybe take a turn or 2 to get? Because although it's a really good card, I don't think my opponent wants it, so therefore I can put it behind on priority order. So I do like the way that you have to prioritise which of these actions you want to take, and you can't go there for a second time to take a second action. So I really do like that factor. There's this real scarcity to get what you want. Sometimes that shines through stronger than other times, because there might be times where you think, I don't really care about going there anymore because I know that's mine anyway, and both of them are fine. I can make do with either of them. So maybe it could have been the volume of that turn angst could have been turned up a little bit more at times, because a lot of the times you can make do with what you have anyway and generally do all right. But I appreciate this. This is who that game's designed for. It is very introductory. It is quite light, not only in terms of the rules, but also in terms of the decision space. And unfortunately, although I love how smooth the gameplay is, I love the potential of the game, I think that maybe it's a little bit too light for me, and the choices are a little bit too obvious. A bit like River of Gold, and even Aeolos, I would have liked to have seen an extra wrinkle or 2, just to add a little bit more seasoning to the game to make it a little bit more interesting. As it stands, again, objectively, I can really sing its praises. It does a great job of doing what it should do. Kind of fits that King Domino vibe. But for my collection, and looking at this more subjectively, I don't think it's going to quite cut the mustard to be a keeper within my collection. It's a game that I would probably never turn down playing because it is very pleasant, very enjoyable, but does it deserve its space on my own shelves when space is a premium? I don't quite think so, and that's a narrow miss as well. So unfortunately, I wanted it to be a little bit more than it actually is, and maybe that's me, maybe me kind of fantasizing what it could be rather than what it actually is and what it's trying to be. So that is Cities